Welcome to Everything with Everett. This is a talk show podcast hosted by Everett McConaughey. The purpose of this production is to share thoughts, voices, and information to further a discussion on who we are as individuals, communities, and a global society. Everything with Everett is open to all topics of discussion: faith, science, history, finances, social issues, and, well, everything. Be sure to follow, like, and subscribe. Visit everettpodcast.com for all the details.
That's Molly Miklos of Voiceovers by Molly, LLC. Voiceovers by Molly, LLC is ready to collaborate with you to create the best voice for your project. Molly's voice is professional and clear, warm and friendly, with a versatile twist, capable of snarky and sassy. Molly has a wide range of voice styles to provide a plethora of moods for your TV, radio, and character projects. Contact Molly today. She wants to collaborate with you. All the information is on her website, voiceoversbymolly.com. Happy Labor Day. Whether you're working, listening to this in your work-approved earbud, or sneaking it, no judgment. Happy Labor Day. Maybe you're off with the fam, grilling a burger. Do you know why we have today off? Do you know why Labor Day is such a big thing? I'm recording this today on Labor Day, September 2nd, 2024. Got a little tongue-tied there. And if you've been watching the news in the last couple days, a large housekeepers union servicing many hotels that were obviously impacted by COVID, and who stayed in a hotel in the last 4 or 5 years, you're aware that since the whole pandemic situation, cleaning staff is massively reduced, and they don't clean daily, which there is positives to that, I feel. Less unnecessary waste, swapping things out prematurely. That's the only cutback I support at this juncture. But an argument that they're raising is that these hotels have bounced back. They are getting a lot of profits now. COVID days and the instability of will we remain open are over. And yet these people say they're still being, understaffed. There's minimal numbers. There are, they're not required, obviously, to do cleaning every day. It's kind of at the guest's whim. So if, you go stay for 5 days and the maid or housekeeper only cleans your hotel room one time in that whole visit, when you check out, they're still given just 30 minutes to clean the room, which previously, because they were cleaning every day, was just, fluff some things, rip the sheets off, put the new ones on, like really quick. Standardization works for a really well-built, robust system. But now they're being given the same amount of time to clean up an entire week-long or more of a guest's filth and not being paid any more to do so. Obviously, there's still those metrics. So if you're not completing room 200 within 30 minutes because they had a dog that they, snuck into the room, or there's other issues, there's this pressure from the corporate overlords that want, profits. And that's not acceptable. So they are going on strike this weekend. And it's a very fitting thing to go on strike the weekend of Labor Day. The last official, sorry, that's my computer making noises. The last official weekend of the summer, and got me thinking. Also was prompted by some news stories. I was like, oh, what? I don't think most of us fully understand Labor Day. Obviously, it's a celebration of the workers. It's a celebration of laborers. But I didn't totally realize that, like I just said, unions striking on Labor Day proper or Labor Day weekend, Labor Day actually is attached to labor unions. You know, that big taboo word that, has been blacklisted among the conservatives and fancy elite, those people that live at the penthouse of the family named Tower in downtown New York, hoping to steal back the presidency again. So obviously I wanted to do a quick podcast on this and get you guys up to date on some things. Also learn some stuff for myself. And so I turned to ChatGPT, obviously the anti-labor option we see in this world today. Great tool, by the way, but also I found it very ironic. I was going to have the software read out the speech, but it kept failing. So I stopped and I was like, you know what? Touche, internet, touche. Why have the technology educate the people about Labor Day when a person is more fitting? And I think that that's really the reckoning that we are in as a global presence, is we don't want to lose the human factor of life, because technology can do it quickly and efficiently, yes, but they don't care. They only know yes, no. There's no maybe. There's no situational awareness. You just get a response for what you put in and hope that the customers, the clients, whoever is relying on whatever that software spits out, is happy with that response. And truthfully, our jobs can't be boiled down into software, no matter how many CEOs and COOs want to have that done. The director of a company cannot be boiled down into lines of code within some third-party, out-of-the-company ChatGPT tool that throws out a response. Especially when, those same leaders can't even remain beholden to the standards they set for within their own company. If they say, you know what, hey, we have a zero tolerance policy on this. Well, so-and-so's been here for, 5 years, and 4.5 years ago, they were so valuable to me. And we can't hit him with that. AI doesn't care. AI would say, fire them. AI would say, write them up. That's the human factor. But we can't have this delusional idea that, oh, well, maybe we can lean into technology and have the technology do the job for us. Well, then pretty soon you're not going to have a staff. Or once you get that out there, and you're not going to have a lot of staff that want to work for you because they know that you just want to try to boil them down and devalue their entire careers into some software. So, with wonderful assistance from ChatGPT, I'm about to read you a speech. Hopefully it's all, very informative, accurate, and educational. But I always, employ you to do your own research if you have any questions. So, without further ado, the response from ChatGPT to my statement of write a 30-minute speech about how the Labor Day holiday came into existence, what significance it represented in history, and how the significance has changed in the last 50 years. The speech is entitled, The Evolution of Labor Day, a Reflection on its Origins, Significance, and Change. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished listeners, and fellow workers, it is an honor to stand before you today and talk about a holiday that holds great meaning in our history, Labor Day. Celebrated on the first Monday of September, Labor Day is more than just a day off or an unofficial end to summer. It's a day of reflection, remembrance, and appreciation for the people who built this country and the movements that shaped the rights of workers across the nation. For the next 30 minutes, we will explore how Labor Day came into existence, what significance it represented when it was first established, and how that significance has evolved over the last 50 years. From its origins in the late 19th century to its changing meaning in a modern, globalized world, Labor Day remains a window into the relationship between labor, society, and the American dream. Section 1, The Origins of Labor Day, a fight for workers' rights. To understand the origins of Labor Day, we must travel back to the Industrial Revolution, a period of profound economic and social transformation in the United States. By the late 1800s, America was undergoing massive industrialization. The cities were growing rapidly as people flocked from rural areas and abroad to find work in factories, railroads, mines, and mills. While industrialization fueled economic growth, it came at a great human cost. Labor conditions were abysmal. Workers, many of whom were immigrants, were forced to endure 12-hour workdays, 7 days a week, often in dangerous and unsanitary conditions.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey there, pardon the interruption. I know you were really listening intently to this episode. My apologies, but I'd like to take a moment to let you know that there are other people who love this podcast as much as you and like hearing some really cool, interesting topics and discussions. And if you have a brand, product, maybe you have a podcast yourself, if you would like to advertise in this podcast, either a pre-roll at the beginning of an episode, in the middle, just like you're hearing right now, or at the end of podcast episodes, please let me know. I would love to help you connect with the listeners just like yourself with whatever it is you would like to get to their ears. Just email advertising@everettpodcast.com. Again, pardon the interruption. I will get you right back to this episode that you're listening to. Thanks. Child labor was rampant, and there was little protection or recourse for workers who were injured or mistreated. It was a time of great inequality, with workers living in squalor, while the wealth generated by their labor concentrated in the hands of a few industrialists. In response to these harsh conditions, the labor movement began to take shape. Workers started to organize into unions, seeking better wages, reasonable hours, and safer working conditions. One of the key figures in this movement was Peter J. McGuire, co-founder of the American Federation of Labor. He often is credited with proposing the idea of a holiday that would honor the working class. However, there is also evidence that Matthew McGuire, a machinist and secretary of the Central Labor Union, played a significant role in the organizing the first Labor Day holiday celebrations. Whichever version you accept, both men were instrumental in the labor movement, and both represent the broader struggles of the workers of the time. The first Labor Day parade took place on September 5th, 1882 in New York City. Organized by the Central Labor Union, 10,000 workers took unpaid leave to march from City Hall to Union Square, demanding not only recognition for their work, but also better conditions and fair treatment. This march symbolized the power of collective action, as workers united across the industries and backgrounds to advocate for their rights. Labor Day became a national holiday in 1894. Following a period of intense labor unrest, one of the catalysts for this was the Pullman strike of 1894, a nationwide railroad strike that began with workers protesting wage cuts and layoffs at the Pullman Company in Chicago. The strike spread, disrupting rail traffic and leading to violent conflict between striking workers and federal troops. In the wake of the strike, which saw dozens killed, President Grover Cleveland sought to repair the government's relationship with labor. Just 6 days after the strike ended, he signed Labor Day into law as a way to honor the contributions of American workers and to ease tensions between labor and the government. The significance of Labor Day in history, a day of solidarity and progress. Labor Day, in its early years, held immense symbolic significance. It was a celebrated day of dignity of work and the unity of workers in the struggle for fair treatment. It represented a victory for the labor movement and for the ordinary people whose labor powered the nation's industries. The day was marked by parades, speeches, and festivities, but it was also a day for reflection, a time to acknowledge the sacrifices that workers made and the battles they fought for the rights that we are now taking for granted. By the early 20th century, Labor Day had become an established holiday across the country. The labor movement continued to grow in strength, winning major victories, such as the establishment of the 8-hour workday, child labor laws, and safety regulations in the workplace. Labor unions became a powerful force, and Labor Day became not only a day of celebration, but also a platform for advocating continued progress. During this period, Labor Day was also a symbol of American identity. It embodied the values of hard work, perseverance, and the pursuit of a better life. It represented the belief that through collective action and solidarity, workers could achieve justice and improve their lives and the lives of their families. The evolution of Labor Day over the last 50 years. As we move forward in time, the significance of Labor Day has evolved. The last 50 years have brought significant changes to the American labor landscape. And those changes, Labor Day has taken on new meanings. In the post-World War II era, the United States experienced a period of economic prosperity and strong union power. However, beginning in the 1970s, we saw the gradual decline of union membership and the rise of new economic forces that reshaped the labor market. The advent of globalization led to the outsourcing of many manufacturing jobs to countries with cheaper labor. The decline of traditional industries such as steel, auto manufacturing eroded the power of industrial unions, while the rise of the service and technology sectors created new challenges for organizing workers. At the same time, neoliberal economics policies, including deregulation, privatization, and the weakening of labor protections, contributed to the shift in the balance of power between employers and employees. As a result, income inequality began to rise, and the gap between the wealthiest Americans and the working class widened. These changes have altered the way we think about Labor Day. For many, the holiday has lost some of its original significance as a day of worker solidarity and activism. In our modern consumer-driven society, Labor Day has been associated more with retail sales, barbecues, and the end of summer vacations than with the labor movement. For some, it is seen as a day off from work rather than a day to reflect on the struggles and achievements of workers. However, even as the visibility of the labor movement has diminished, the issues that gave rise to Labor Day remain relevant. In recent years, we have seen renewed attention to the challenges faced by workers in a rapidly changing economy. The rise of gig economy, the erosion of job security, and the decline of benefits such as healthcare and pensions have led to growing movement for workers' rights in new industries. From fast food workers fighting for a $15 minimum wage to tech workers organizing for better conditions, there are signs that the spirit of the labor movement is still alive. The COVID-19 pandemic in particular brought new focus to the essential role of workers, especially those in healthcare, food production, and delivery services. The pandemic exposed the vulnerabilities of frontline workers and led to increased calls for fair wages, safer working conditions, and stronger protection for all workers. In some ways, the pandemic reminded us of the original significance of Labor Day, the need to recognize and honor the contributions of workers who keep our society running, often at great personal sacrifice. The future of Labor Day, reclaiming its meaning. As we look to the future, we must ask ourselves how we can reclaim the true meaning of Labor Day. This holiday should be more than just a long weekend. It should be time to reflect on history of the labor movement and the progress we've made, while also recognizing the challenges that remain. In an era of growing economic inequality, automation, and precarious employment, the lessons of the labor movement are more important than ever. We must continue to advocate fair wages, safe working conditions, and the rights of all workers to organize and bargain collectively. Labor Day should be a reminder that the struggle for workers' rights is not over, and that we must remain vigilant in protecting the gains that we have made while pushing to further progress. At the same time, we must broaden the understanding of what it means to be a worker in the 21st century. Labor Day should honor not only those in traditional blue-collar jobs, but also the millions of workers in the service sector, healthcare, education, and gig economy who are often overlooked. It should be a day of solidarity for all workers, regardless of industry, race, gender, or immigration status. In conclusion, Labor Day is a holiday with deep roots in the history of the labor movement, a testament to the power of workers who fought for fair treatment and better conditions. Over the last 50 years, the significance of Labor Day has shifted in response to economic and social changes, but its core message remains relevant as ever. As we celebrate this day, let us remember the challenges of the past, recognize the challenges of the present, and commit ourselves to building a future in which workers are treated with dignity and respect. Thank you. So before all that, I never really knew all that. And you hear a lot of the rural blue-collar workers who don't like people from the city telling them how to live their lives, entertaining the idea of voting for a billionaire from the city to run our country. The same billionaire that believes in not paying people for the work that they did because he found a blemish on the gold toilet. If you want made in America, you have to pay in America. You don't get a good deal without a fair wage. We want abundance. We want cheap stuff. But guess what? You don't get that made in America because American labor costs more. So if there's anything you take from this, please tell your friends. American made is American paid. No ifs, ands, or buts. So the next time you talk to someone who's like, oh, they don't make it in America like they used to, remind them we don't pay in America like we used to either. There's massive inequality. Jeff Bezos should not be taking home the salaries for sitting on his butt when he's got tons of workers that are churning and burning through his factories. Anyway, you have a great and happy Labor Day. You've earned it. You've worked for it.
Thank you for listening to Everything with Everett. Connect with Everett and other listeners on Facebook and Twitter at Everett Podcast. Everett would love to hear from you. Share your thoughts by emailing mystory@everettpodcast.com. You can also leave a voicemail or send a text message to 208-391-2808. Choose to listen, speak with kindness, and have a great day.